CNN national security analyst and former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Rogers. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, says there's no imminent threat against the city of New York. What are you hearing from the intelligence community?
The same. A lot of what you see in the videos, Jake, is psychological operations, psychological warfare. Remember, ISIS has a lot of former military, trained military individuals from Iraq, from the Syrian government. So they would have the understanding of the value of having an actual event and then having a psychological operation to intimidate, cause fear, cause people to change their behavior. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. Now, the caution is that, yes, it's a psychological effort. Many believe that. But there's also the concern that there may be an event planning. And just like in Paris, it's under the radar. They don't have it. It's not that imminent event that they have credible intelligence, but it doesn't mean that there's not somebody out there planning to do something.
The suspected ringleader, Congressman, of the Paris attacks, Aboud, is dead. He was killed this morning. He's been on the radar of the intelligence community for quite a while. Why do you think he was able to move so freely between Syria, France, and Belgium?
Well, partly because they don't have the border controls that they used to have. And so once you're in anywhere in the EU and you have a valid passport, there's just nowhere you can't go. You have freedom of movement. That was the whole design behind the European Union. So that's exactly why he was able to do it. And the fact that that whole organization has shifted to encrypted communications, at least the ones that they know of. They are very good about operational security. They have learned from all of the 4 previous events that went wrong that he was a part of, that he was apparently planning at least part of 4 disrupted terrorist attacks. They'll go back and analyze every one of those. So they had secure communications, freedom of movement, they had money, and they had weapons. And that allowed them, because all of that was already prepackaged for them, that allowed them a much easier way to move about those countries without being caught or without being noticed.
The Prime Minister of France, Manuel Valls, said in an interview today that some of the terrorists here in France, quote, took advantage of the refugee crisis to slip into France. That's obviously a big concern in the United States, but the vetting process is even if one doesn't think it's tough enough, it is much tougher than there is a vetting process here in Europe, right?
Yeah, but here's the only problem with that, Jake. And unfortunately, I think in America, it turned into the politics of religion and race, which it should never done. And candidly, I blame the president for that. This was about a national security issue. These governors had legitimate concerns about saying, because their law enforcement communities, by the way, were going to them and saying, hey, wait a minute, you're going to send someone here. You can't access certain databases to tell me that they're not involved or engaged in either radicalization or as an active member of ISIS. We know for a fact that ISIS back in September said they've infiltrated as many as 4,000 across Europe. If they get fake passports, which you can buy on the web for $1,000, $900 actually, the deep web they call it, Jake, you can actually go from a visa waiver country here. So you can infiltrate with the refugee population, buy a fake passport, you can even buy a Syrian driver's license in the deep web so you can conceal your cover. And I think the law enforcement community says, hey, wait a minute, we know that they're doing this. They told us that they're doing this. Now we just saw a terrorist attack using the refugee program. Maybe you should slow down and see if there's a better way to get to security. And it got blown up here, and I think in a pretty negative way. And I think Republicans are acting wrongly on it. And I think the president started this thing for the same reason that he didn't take action in Syria in the first place to stop the refugees. Very irritating for a guy that looks at national security every day.
Congressman Mike Rogers, thank you so much.